Mindset Mashup Podcast. Here we are. As you already know, top 200 in the UK 2 months ago. It might not be big to you, but that's big to me. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, chuck a like, just do something helpful. Whatever platform you're on, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, just do something. Hit a like, drop a review, whatever you can do. I appreciate it. And without further ado, I want to welcome the guest for today, the one and only Mr. Ryan Holtz. How you doing, sir?
Man, I'm telling you, man, life is beautiful. Thanks so much for having me. And to all your listeners, man, I hope you're thriving. I hope you feel good, and you're in for a treat today.
Yes, sir. Ryan, I want to make sure that I don't want to introduce you. I want you to introduce yourself just to make sure that I don't miss anything out. So go ahead. For those that may not know you, introduce yourself. Let them know what Ryan is about.
Well, you know what? I always think, you know, you should always introduce me, and I'll tell you why. Because everybody, if you listen to this, you know, I have one of the top podcasts in the world, and it's really interesting because I feel like everybody writes a bio and they do their little headshots and stuff like that, but it's very hard to encapsulate who somebody is in a really short jaunt. But my Cole's note is I'm the host of the Ryan Holtz Show podcast. You know, we bring on celebrities, thought leaders, everyday people, and we really center it around one word, which is provoking. It's provoking the mind to be curious, to think about what life can be, and, you know, not existing, but living. And then I also own a branding and online media company called Ryan Holtz Marketing that services big brands. And, you know, recently, as I was saying to you, now we offer a coaching program. But, you know, man, I'm a purebred entrepreneur. I like to share the story, especially because I know there's young entrepreneurs. I come from very humble beginnings. Grew up very broke. I was raised by a single mom. My mom passed away at 13. You know, I'll be honest. You know, I held my mom's dead body in my hands at the age of 13. And I always say, when you study the greats in life, a lot of their success comes from pain and suffering. And so I think a lot of people out there in the world right now are going through pain, suffering, and trauma. And I am a living proof that if you can take that and mold it differently, it can be rocket fuel to your success. So I just love serving people. I love bringing energy, and I love entrepreneurship, man. I love just, you know, scrapping for that extra dollar, that extra deal. And I'm a proud father and husband. I didn't have a dad, so I call myself the world's greatest father that never had a father. And I beam joy for my kids, Dejan and Talia. And, you know, that's me in a nutshell, man.
That's awesome, Ryan. And I know you've had some big players on your podcast. I know you had Greg Hoffman, CMO of Nike. You also had Robin Sharma on. I think that was some point last year. So you've got the podcast, you've got your business. I want to start with where it all began for you. So you mentioned earlier about the loss of your mum. So how soon after that did you come into entrepreneurship, or did you was there a gap between that? So explain that.
You know, I just realized, I mean, as you're saying that, I put out a video the other day that says what I learned working at McDonald's. I'm sure obviously you're in the UK, but everybody's heard of McDonald's. Yeah. And I remember skipping school when I was like 15, 16 years old to literally go and work at McDonald's, because I'm just like, holy smokes. Like I'm barely being able to eat during the day. And at this time I was playing football, American football. And football really saved my bacon because it really gave me guidance. So instead of going into a, you know, criminal or crazy lifestyle, you know, I went into the sports lifestyle. But what really stemmed it off was I realized I had no help and no support. And so I went into this survival mode, and I thought, yo, nobody's coming to help you, bro. You're going to have to like do this on your own. And that's the reality. So you can choose to wallow in your self-pity and become a victim, or you can say, yo, we got to take action now to try to propel forward. And that's where my mind really started getting out. And I'm a big proponent of, you know, education and whatnot, but I'm also a proponent of, you know, I feel schools don't teach kids the life skills that they need. You know, the average person's coming out of school, they don't even understand how credit card interest works, or basic real estate fundamentals, or basic financial principles. And so that stuff at about, you know, 15, 16, I really started trying to teach myself through going into the workforce. And the moment I got my first paycheck, that was like, I don't know, $100 or something, I felt like I was a millionaire because the $100 was a symbolism of, holy crap, you can actually go out into this world amidst your circumstances and generate money and generate something new that you've never been exposed to. And for me, that excited me and I wanted more of it.
Yeah, and I like what you said there about, and I think often as entrepreneurs we miss that. We miss what you just said. So I just want to come back to that. You said it
Sure.
wasn't the earning the money; it's what it
Mm,
symbolized. It you done something for yourself. You went out there, you earned the money yourself, which then you used the word provoked earlier, which then provoked your mind to, I wonder what else is possible. I wonder how much I can earn if I do X, Y, Z. And I think often as entrepreneurs, we can miss what that symbolizes. It's not that I sign a client, it's £100. Okay, it might not be 100. It might be £100 now, but what will it be in 3 months, 4 months, if you continue
yes.
to refine that process?
Yeah, and I'd like to add in there, people have this shiny object syndrome where they want the instant gratification,
Yeah.
and that's just not realistic. But people have to understand that not all opportunities are attached to a paycheck. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Not all opportunities are attached to a paycheck. So
Yeah.
people have to go through their life and look. Okay, there's currency, right? I have this concept that I came up with that I'm very passionate about. It's called Soulful Currency. So a lot of people in their lives, what you will find is either they focus really, really heavy on their work, and then all of a sudden they're divorced and their kids hate them and their family can't stand them, or they're sitting on the couch, just lazy as hell, broke as a joke, and their life is just basically going down the drain. But I came up with this concept where I said, listen, if you wake up every single day and you deposit into your Soulful Currency account, Soulful Currency is built into 5 pillars. There's vibe currency. Yo, man, I want to dress. I want to look fresh. I want to smell good. I want to feel sexy when I'm in my day to day. I want to feel like I'm going around, right? So you got the vibe currency. Then you got your health currency. If you're not, you got to stay in the game to play the game. So you got to make sure, your physical health, make sure you're getting some exercise in. Your mental health. Oh my gosh, this is extremely important. How you working on your mind, right? Then you got your monetary currency, like how much money am I making here? Then you got your family currency, right? And then you have your mental hygiene. And so I believe that people have to really understand that they got to keep depositing into their Soulful Currency account. People are always so concerned about depositing into bank accounts that they really don't own. And I always tell people, don't climb up a mountain unless you're going to try to own it one day.
I like that. I like that. And I like what you said about those 5 pillars. Like those five standpoints of currency, because you're absolutely right. There's much more than one form of currency in this world, and often finances is not always at the top because it doesn't make people happy. We know that now. I feel like we've known that for a little while now, haven't we? That just having millions of pounds in the bank or millions of dollars in the bank, that's not enough to make you happy. There's got to be more to it. And I completely agree with what you said there. Health, mental health, family, friends, and
Yes.
you mentioned like the vibe as well. Like as you said, it's nice to be sexy. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to mix it up, and that could be whatever way you
Yeah.
enjoy it.
100%, man. You got to love yourself. I mean, that's the reality. I look at, I think when you become a parent or you have children, if you're blessed to have that opportunity, you really start understanding how important it is for you to invest in yourself so that you can invest in your children. And for me, there's no separation between myself and my children. Whatever happens to me is also happening to my children. And I think that people got to understand that your children depend on you, but they also, I don't want to program my child like a school system programs them. I want to program my child to start understanding how money works and understand that I will never tell my kids they have to go to university ever. I will tell them that they better have a goal and they better get off the couch and work their butts off. But you do not have to go to university to be successful in life. And it's proven time and time again. So I want them to see their dad and their mom hustling. And I'll say something here. This is crazy. Kids are so smart. They always know when mom and dad are either getting after their dreams or not getting after their dreams.
How do you,
Facts.
how do you think they would recognize that?
They recognize it through the small minor detail things. For example, my son's in kindergarten, 5 years old. He's going to school. He's saying things to me like, Dad, you're always at all of like my events. And I talked to my friend and his mom's and dad, they're just working at a job and their boss said that they can't come. Oh, so what is that signaling? As an entrepreneur and people who are listening to this, it's not even the amount of money you can make that to me is the most enticing part of entrepreneurship. It's that I own my flexibility of my calendar. I own my time.
Yeah.
I can choose where I want to spend my time, right? I don't have to be talking to you today on your show. I choose to be talking to you today on your show. There's a big choice. There's a big difference there. A lot of people out there working, you got a mommy and daddy at work. You got to ask permission to go to a doctor's appointment, to take some vacation off. And so this little fundamental is huge. I'll give another scenario. It's, hey, mom, hey, dad, mom, you guys live in this neighborhood. How come you guys are like in your 30s and everybody else is like 75? How come everybody's older? Well, because I started working my life very differently, got some success, and said, hey, I'm going to move into this retirement community. Everybody else is thinking about retiring. I'm in the middle of my grind, but I just love the area. Little things that they see. Then, my son constantly is looking at my show. And so I tell people, hey, everybody says, hey, why do you open up a podcast or start a podcast? And I'm like, well, one of the reasons is, could you imagine that whoever you respect in your family, let's say it's your mom, dad, grandparents, whoever it is, but could you imagine when they pass away, could you imagine you're like, yo, I can go watch my dad chop it up with some of the best in the world 40 years later. The documentation of, hey, I see my dad on the internet. I see my dad's on TV. They start to understand that you're living a different lifestyle than most people. And those are little signals to them. And then to be honest with you, man, it's a lot of just communication. We over communicate in our family, and I'm very honest and with my kids. And I'm like, listen, there's multiple ways of living life. You can choose this, you can choose this, and you can choose this. And I think it's important for them to understand that.
Yeah, and there's so much on there that you love and just that I love. And the last thing that you just said there was about one day people being able to rewatch what like the excellence that has been going on, and that always like I can't, my mind can't quite comprehend it, but it does just excite me for some reason. It just makes me think, wow, man, that's legacy.
Yeah, it's like beyond though. It's just like it's like, yo, you know how everybody says, oh my God, if I wish you were you should have seen your dad, or you should have seen your mom, or you should have seen when your grandpa was your age what he was doing. And it's like, well, you try to imagine it, you're like, man, my grandpa was a bad motherfucker, like, whoa. But then to actually see him actually doing it, you're like, yo, man, my grandpa was the man, or my grandma was the woman, like, and so I think that, that is important. And I think everybody, you're living this beautiful life. It's like 1 in 72 trillion chance of being born. And it's like, you're just living this life and you're almost trying to live it undocumented. I think you should document it in the sense of, yo, the worst thing you can do in the world is literally not even make anybody realize you're here. How many people walk around the world, they don't even know anybody's, like, you don't even know that person existed.
Yeah. Or they know you exist and they don't know what you do.
Yeah. And so many people are concerned with being liked. I don't give a shit about being liked. I want to be known. There's a difference. I'm a branding person. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't want everybody to like me. I want people to know me. Right. And I always say, if I speak at a conference or I go speak at these events and stuff, and somebody's like, yo, Ryan, what's your goal? I'm like, I want 50% of the room to absolutely fucking hate me. And I want the other 50% to love me. But if nobody remembers me, oh, it's gross. It's gone. Because here's what we're battling for everybody listening to this, especially when you're startup entrepreneurs or whatever it is. The number one thing you're going to battle in marketing and branding is this: obscurity. Everybody is trying to get attention online. Obscurity, if nobody knows, like you said, you're living, but nobody knows what the hell you do, what's the point of that? Like, that's not working, right? They don't even know what you do. They didn't even know you were an option.
So how do you do that?
I think there's, you brought up Greg Hoffman, from Nike, and he wrote that book, Emotion by Design. He talks a lot about being intentional with your brand, right? And a lot of people get branding and marketing confused. So if you're a business owner, you're saying, yo, I gotta create this marketing campaign. People are like, they're merging branding with marketing and they're very separate. Branding is this. Branding is Nike, you wake up and you're like you're wearing a Nike shirt right now. I got some Jordan 3s behind my wall here, but Nike didn't knock on your door and say, "Yo, George, buy this shoe." No. You went to the Nike store and got that sweater. Now you could have. Why you got a Nike one? Why didn't you just buy like a little crappy little no name one? Probably the same fabric, but you wanted to symbolize to somebody or yourself, yo, I'm wearing Nike, man. I'm like, I feel good. This is where it is. That's branding. Branding is the thing that makes somebody know who you are, makes you feel something about their product or service, and basically gets you to at least consider them before they buy. So, hey, I want to go buy some new shoes. Okay, I'm gonna check out Adidas, Puma, and Nike, right? Or the UK. I like because you guys say Nike. You don't say Nike, right? Nike, right? Okay, great. I had the founder of Reebok on, Joe Foster. Joe Foster, they created the track shoes, UK, great UK success story, all that. But the same thing, he says, look, the brand has to be there before you are. The brand is what speaks for you when you're not in the room. So you say something, let's say you talk about something, you're like, yo, this Ryan guy, your brand shows up 5 minutes before you do. Then marketing comes in and says, okay, how can we get it from a hello down to an actual transaction where somebody actually spends money and buys my product or service? So how do we become a great brand? Be different, be memorable, be intentional, be brave, and don't, be the same and the boring. Oh man, and make sure you know what the hell your brand actually stands for.
And I was about to say, as you were saying all of that to me just a moment ago, all I was thinking about was ultimately is what that brand represents, which allows you to initially even buy into the story that they're doing, that they're talking about. Yep. You spoke about the having Greg Hoffman, the CMO of Nike, Reebok, and I think of these organizations, I think of some of the stories that are being told through their marketing stuff, which gives me that buy-in. And I find that very interesting because as a business, that can be quite challenging. That can be quite challenging to create that narrative. So if you were to give like sort of one tip away to some people that are in business or about to go into business, you mentioned don't be boring, which to me that's sort of like being true to yourself. I think that indicates that. Is there anything else that you would say, just a quick giveaway that someone can go and do straight away?
Yeah, there's one question that you have to answer as a business owner, and it should be plastered on your whiteboard, on your forehead, wherever you can plaster it. And before you even do anything, you need to always answer the question, what's in it for them? What's in it for them? Because what's in it for them, it changes your whole mindset. So nobody cares about your process. Like your customers don't care about your process. They're not like, oh my God, wow, you automate. Oh yes, no, they only care about what's in it for them. So if you're leading your brand or your day or your business with always answering that one question, what's in it for them? Like, for example, when you put out content, when I started doing my show, it was a great learning experience because I would say things at the beginning like, new episode 174, come listen. Who gives a shit? What's in it for them? Instead, I might say 4 reasons why your business sucks. Whoa, now you're like, whoa, wait a sec, what's that? What's that about? Whoa, you click on it. I'm trying to get you to click. I'm trying to get you to scroll stop. I don't want you to see my content and go like this. I want you to be like, oh, click, scroll stop, right? And so that is my tip. It's what's in it for them. And you should be able to answer that question very, very quickly. And that will separate it out. But I mean, let's be honest here. A lot of people are starting businesses that shouldn't be starting businesses. They're starting businesses for the wrong reasons, right? They're starting businesses.
They don't want the responsibility. They just want the reward.
They want the rewards, or they're seeing the Gary V's running around the world, or the sneaker stuff, and even the dress code. You're not seeing all these suit and ties anymore. I used to live in a suit and tie as well, and it's like, now you're seeing just jeans and sneakers and all this stuff. And they like the whole like showmanship and glitz and glam, but what they're not understanding is it's absolute hell in the behind the scenes. It's not a pretty place to be as an entrepreneur. It takes a lot of grind, and it's never the same day twice. So I just think that, people have to understand, why are you going into business? How passionate are you about the problem you're trying to solve? And what is in it for them? And I think once you start going through those questions and kind of having a heart to heart, that's where it all begins. But I will say, in order to answer those questions, people need to get over themselves. You got to stop saying I. You got to stop saying I think. You got to start saying the words like, it seems like they might like. What makes you say that? Not, I think. Why? No, whoa. You're selfish. You're being selfish. Get over yourself, right? You need to start thinking, hey, I'm beside my customer or client, talking with them, not at them. It's a big difference.
And also, as you said, ultimately, it's not about, if you're in business, it's not about you.
No.
It's not about you. It's about the customer. It's about profit and loss. And that's what it's about.
Yes.
And what you said earlier about people are in business that shouldn't be in business, I completely agree with that, because they want the reward. They don't want to put in the hard work. And I think the best bit about entrepreneurship is what goes on in the unseen. And what goes on in the unseen is the result that we get, the result that we see, I suppose, from a business perspective.
Yeah, it is. And I think the content, the internet now it's just so big that, yeah, everybody says create content, but it's like, you kind of do have to create content now. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think that how else are you going to get out to prospective customers or build brand? Are you going to go door to door and knocking? I mean, the scalability on that's not the greatest. Are you going to go to 100 doors a day when you could go to 10,000 doors on TikTok a day? You get what I'm saying? Right. And that's where people have to understand, you got to start documenting the message. But it's truly, truly serving the people who you're serving. And it really isn't about you. You're a conduit. Like Nike is Nike, right? But it's what they made their customers feel. Like you said, storytelling, creating the narrative. They're just the people that were the host of the party. Yeah. It's like going to a great club. Well, if the club just says, yo, play some music and we're going to dance and it's only going to be the owners and bottle service, we're not letting anybody in because we're drinking all the alcohol. Like, you're not going to have a business. Great. Your club looks great, but nobody's coming to it. Like, the club owner's not like, yo, I want to buy my own stuff. He's like, I got bills to pay. I need to make some money. So he wants to make everybody that's coming into his establishment or her establishment feel like, yo, we want you here and we're here to serve you.
Yeah, the perception of what's going on around the client has an impact on how they view your service and how they decide to buy it. So Ryan, I've got this thing that I absolutely, like you said earlier, like what goes on behind the scenes, it can get rough, but I can't help but love that hustle and bustle that goes on behind the scenes. That like fight. Someone actually said to me the other day, it's not a war or a fight, it's a sport. But I love that sport of entrepreneurship. And I'm wondering, what is your relationship with entrepreneurship?
You know what? It is a sport. I am a savage servant. Okay. I literally am a savage servant. I'm going to explain to you what a savage servant is. Nice guys to me. Nice guys are dangerous. And I never have any friends that are nice guys. Nice guys are they don't keep to their goals a lot of the time. They waver. They go to the next best thing. They sit on the fence. They're very, very waverable. They care about what people think all the time. They're trying to be cool. They're trying to be this. They're trying to do that. And they're a nice guy. Savage servant is somebody that knows what their goals are, has very few friends, true friends, okay? Understands that when they come home, their kids can put toothpaste in their hair. They show love. Their family's always number one. And they're completely in touch with their emotions. This toxic masculinity crap is garbage. Whoever's yelling the loudest, going blah, blah, blah all the time. And this is why you see, look at all this stuff going on in London, man. Stabbings, all these different things. Look at that video. We seen that video. What was that poor guy passed away? It was all over the internet. Did you see that video? He got stabbed in the neck. He got stabbed and he bled out like on the video, man. It was terrible. Oh, and I think I believe it was somewhere in the UK. I want to say Brixton, but I could be wrong. Google it. Anyways,
I think it was London. I think it was London.
Yeah, my point is that it's like if you're trying to, be the tough person, it's like no, like you can see the weakness in that already. Whereas a savage servant's like, I'm not out here trying to be tough. I'm out here just trying to get on my grind, stay with my values, and impact the world. My whole definition of success is personal mastery that impacts the masses. So I know that the more I can master myself, the more I can serve everybody else. Savage servant. So you talk about sports. I played American football. I was a running back. When I ran the ball through the hole, it's probably one of the scariest things you could ever do in life. If you haven't played football like that, you have 12 people that are in the best shape of their life wanting to fucking kill you and take your neck off when you run the ball through the hole. It takes a certain kind of character to do that. For me, you know what? I didn't want to run around them. I wanted to run through their soul. So sport, business and sport, I'm a savage servant because it's a sick game. And people who are great entrepreneurs, we all agree, we're fucking weird.
Yeah.
We are weird. We are weird ass people. Come on now. We want to play Russian roulette with money. We want to put all this effort into to not get any guarantees. We want to go work 100 hours a week and get paid peanuts because nothing's going right, and we still wake up with a smile and say let's go again. That is a fucking crazy person.
I think the weirdest thing I find about being an entrepreneur is how comfortable I am with the unknown. But what surprises me is how comfortable people are with knowing and the certainty. That really shocks me, how like the difference. And I see that between entrepreneurs and people that are just happy with their career, which there's nothing wrong with. But that, I don't know, but that just baffles me. But I feel like that is the weird thing, how comfortable I am with the unknown.
Because people who are comfortable with being uncomfortable, what's the word in between comfortable and uncomfortable? Growth.
Yeah.
Growth mindset, right? People who are comfortable being comfortable, you have the abundance, there's scarcity. They're the kind of people that say, oh my gosh, what if I lose my job? Hey, wait a sec. What if George gets the promotion? I've been working for 5 years. I want the promotion. They don't see the world as there's enough to go around. They see the world as me.
Yeah.
See, the more savage servant you are, the more you want to serve. You see how and that's why we're weird, because it goes against the paradigm of what you were taught growing up in school.
100%.
I'm going to give you an example. You're in grade school. The teacher says, George, get in line. We're going to go in. You remember this? Come on, get in line. Stand in line. If you were at the back of the line and skip to the front, the teacher makes you go to the back of the line. Now I'm going to give you a real world scenario where that happens. People are driving on the highway. There's a construction, so they block off the lane. People are all single file down the highway. Then everybody starts getting in the line at the back. Then there's the odd person that drives all the way up and cuts in. That, my friend, is a savage servant. They are telling the teacher, listen, I don't care if you told me to get to the back of the line. This is my life. I want to be at the front of the line, and I'm willing to take the hits and all the booze and the negativity to get there.
I like that. And it's that not caring what people think. I think the worst thing that's ever been taught at school is that there's only one way to succeed. You have to pass this test in order to do this. You have to answer this question right in order to do this. Like, it's always just one way. It's not like there's multiple ways that you can answer this question. There's multiple ways you could learn about this. At least in the UK anyway, you got to learn a particular way. You got to pass 1 or 2 particular exams each year. And it's like, but that's not life. That's not real life. We know now there's thousands of ways to succeed, if not maybe millions of different ways to succeed in this world.
And they did. And you have to also remember, everything was based on winning. Everything was based on getting good grades.
Yes.
You learn way more from failing than you do from winning. So if why don't they teach you the fact that you can go and get a rental property, rent out that rental property, even if you didn't cash flow on it, you pay the rent, mortgage pay down, and inflation. Why didn't they say, listen, instead of going and spending $100,000 on a stupid piece of shit education at 18 that you don't even really need unless you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or something, go take that $100,000, go buy, I'm saying it back in the day, but go buy a place, rent that place out. You and I both know that by the time they would be done their 4-year degree, these people would already have a full mortgage paid off, own a full property, no mortgage on it, and be thousands of miles ahead of somebody that's slogging back learning about Shakespeare and some mathematical equations that don't even fucking help us unless we're going to become a chemical engineer or some shit.
Yeah.
Now, what about tax? Well, if everybody was smart financially and they knew, hey, well, I could work my money a little bit differently and create wealth. Well, now they're not going to be a good boy and girl and pay taxes all the time because they're going to understand tax brackets. They're going to understand write-offs. They're going to understand all these different ways that you can work with your money. But what the government, and I think, honestly, the whole world was set up to be a sheep. Just fall in line. The government was set up by the same teacher that told you, get in line. Because that teacher, and I love teachers, I got friends, but don't get me wrong, there was teachers that were bad teachers because they would tell students that were different, us weird people, that because we thought that mathematical equation could be done differently, they said, no, it's wrong. It's not wrong. You're wrong. You just didn't understand that I could solve the same question, come to the same answer, because you're the teacher that never wanted to leave school. You went to school and then you went fucking back to school. Do you know how many business professors at some of the best schools in the world that teach business have never owned a business?
I wouldn't want to even think about that number.
How are you going to tell me how to be an entrepreneur and run a successful business when you've never ran a business?
Or you had no interest. Like that shows to me lack of interest if you haven't gone out there and done that, because
I love all this because I sit here and I think about it and I'm like, I bring up all these points and I'm like, it's so funny because some of them could sound negative to somebody who's in this dark mindset, but they are incredible. Because what I'm saying here is the opportunity, if you're willing to think a little differently, be provoked, be curious, and take a little bit of action, is endless what you can do. You have this thing called the internet that just endless, man.
So let's talk about that. Let's sort of talk about these endless opportunities out there, because Ryan, I've interviewed lots of different people now from lots of different backgrounds, and you're an extremely successful guy. I know you've got an award-winning podcast. You've got a really good business. You've dealt with and spoke with some of the world's greatest. How can someone that believes that there isn't an opportunity or there isn't anything out there for them, how would they go about thinking different about everything?
Oh, take 24 hours, turn off your phone, go into a room, shut out everything. If you live at your mom's house, or you got a busy home, go for a freaking walk. Go to a quiet park, go to a beach. I don't care where you go. Go find some space and just sit with yourself, first of all, and ask yourself this question. Who the fuck do I want to be? And am I even close to being this person? And who was I meant to be? So I think about things like what really ignited me, and everybody's life is different, was my mom was very successful prior to her passing, and then the last 2 years, it's like stress just got her, but still, she was very successful. But I think about it, I'm like, I got so many great people in my life that have came and gone that I got to represent for. It's not even just about me anymore. It kind of never was about me, but it was me showing and being a beacon of like, I'm going to take my life and truly try to maximize it to the most I can so that A, I can inspire others to do the same. B, I can directly have impact to the people I care about, but C, just have that massive impact that I really want to have. And I think that people who are in the mindset of, I can't, need to be in the mindset of, how can I? And they have to immediately say and take responsibility and say, it is all on me. I can do this. But I think where a lot of people go wrong is they got to forgive themselves.
Yeah.
People are so hard. They're so hard on themselves. And, you know, people listening, I mean, you could, maybe you had a dad that was like, you're never going to do anything in life. Maybe you come from an abusive household. Maybe you didn't have any support. Maybe there's a teacher or coach that just completely killed your self-esteem at a young age. There's so many scenarios that could happen, but I'm here to tell you that that's all irrelevant. But you got to take responsibility and say, I can, but you got to forgive yourself. And whatever's happened to date in your life, you got to say, look, I'm going to take this as experience. I'm going to learn from it. But tomorrow's a new day, and it's going to also be a new George, and it's also going to be a new Ryan. And you literally got to say that to yourself. I'm going to give a scenario. I'm going to show you something. Do you see these things? These are cue cards. These are cue cards, bro. Okay. I have a folder in my phone that says brain relief. When I see something inspirational or I think of something, I immediately put it in my phone. But then I thought, okay, my morning is so big. Now it's summertime here in Canada. It's probably the same there. But July and August, I literally go from like rolling 110 miles per hour with my kids and family to I literally am like, no, it's dad mode. I cut my business, everything down to about 5% in July, August. But when I'm in my full mode, I do have a morning routine. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I say, listen, I don't want to be distracted by my phone. I have everything written that I love in the world on these cue cards. I read them before I even have my coffee. I'll read some of them. Keep humble, stay hungry, love more. Deposit into your Soulful Currency account. Money is simply the marketplace's return on benefit delivered. Haters are love teachers in disguise. Life's greatest risk is taking no risk. Many obsess over financial return on investment, yet tragically ignore the value of character ROI.
Say that one again. That's
Many obsess over financial return on investment, yet tragically ignore the value of character ROI. You appreciate that the closer you get to your fortune, the louder your fears will scream. Law of linkage, clarity breeds mastery. Trauma truly happens in your favor, never for your failure. Exponential creativity demands abnormality and requires us to deviate from normal company. You are what you eat, but you're also the company you keep.
Nice. So you read these every day?
Every day for 10 months of the year, because 2 months I'm chilling.
2 months you're chilling. I love that. So right, let's go on. So your podcast, award-winning podcast.
Yep.
What made you decide to start the podcast?
I've always loved media, and I've done a lot of TV and radio here in North America, for like going on and being like an expert marketer for, if an iPhone drops or consumer awareness, things like this. And I had an opportunity to have my own radio show and own TV show. But again, the entrepreneur in me said, okay, what's the benefit? So, I'm big on IP and I'm big on ownership. And so if I go and work for a big media company, I don't own anything. I'm basically just a show host that gets a paycheck. But if I leave or they decide to fire me, I leave with nothing, right? I just leave with some money. Don't always understand when there's an opportunity that's not attached to a paycheck, right? So I said, you know what? I'm in the online marketing space, and I know I have great technical savvy. I'm going to fire up my own media company, and I'm going to call it the Ryan Holtz Show Podcast. I'm going to bring on some of the best people in the world, and we're going to chat and chop it up. And that's where it all started. So I said, I want to own everything. I want to bring on some of the best people. And we have we've had people from professional athletes to Grammy Award winning artists to Shark Tank sharks to, Robin Sharma's book authors, Seth Go, you name it. I mean, I've had, Patrick McDavid, Valuetainments, we've had all these people on. And it was interesting because when I started the show, I never wanted to be only an interview-based show. And this is the thing about confidence, is that the Ryan Holtz Show Podcast is the Ryan Holtz Show Podcast. I don't just use my guests to carry the weight. And so Seth Godin, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's a brand marketing person, but he said, Ryan, one of the reasons I really love your show is when you have your show on, when you have your guest on, and the reason I wanted to come on your show was you don't put all the weight on your guest. You make the show just as much about you as you do them. Because a lot of podcast people, and I think, and maybe this is a tip for you too, is that people are creating these shows and saying, okay, let's make it all about the guest. I disagree because here's why. Let's say Kanye West comes in the restaurant. Okay. Now I've met so many different people, but let's say Kanye West comes in the restaurant. What does everybody do? Kanye, oh my God, it's Kanye. Oh, you're a fanboy. You're a fangirl. Mm-mm. Kanye already has enough of that. Kanye is looking for cool people that are just like, yo, what's up, man? Do you want a picture? No, I don't give a fuck about the picture. No, man. I love your work, bro. You have a good day. That guy sees thousands of people when he goes out in a day, probably. But he will remember the one that's just like, this guy treated me like a human. So when you want to be respected in the marketplace, don't run around being like, oh my God, I got this person. And, oh my gosh, it's all about them. No, I'm a bad motherfucker too. Yeah, I'm a bad motherfucker too. So it's like, no. When you come to my show, you know what I say to my guests? Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Yeah, because bro, today, I'm not talking at you. I'm actually saying, yo, man, come over. Let's have some dinner. I'm trying to build a bond with you. I'm trying to build a relationship that's like, okay, Ryan, you know what, man? And honestly, 90% of my guests by the end of it, I don't get their PR person anymore. They're like, Ryan, I'm gonna give you my personal cell phone number. And they know I'm not gonna blow up your phone. I know you know this person. Could you give? No, don't do that at all. I rarely even text any of these people, but I know I have their number, and there's that trust that's like, the only way I will really message them is if I know I can give them something of value. What's in it for them? They gave me their number because I didn't ask them for shit, and I made them feel like they were at home. A lot of other podcast hosts are just like, okay, I got this person on, and and me. See, by making it about the guest, you're being selfish. I'm going to explain this because we talked about this. Well, I'm going to make it about the guest today. No, you're putting so much weight on the guest. This person's already getting hounded all the time. You want that guest to walk away from your conversation feeling like they learned something too. Remember, if you want somebody on your show, it's probably because they got to a certain level of life. They got to a certain level of life because they fucking love to learn. So when you as the host say, hey, you're coming on my show, well, I want to learn something too. It's a big distinction. And that's Joe Rogan, #1 podcast in the world. That guy's not like, yo, man, today we're just going to make it. No, he's like, yo, what's up, motherfucker? You're just having a conversation. He's smoking weed with Elon, right?
He's chilling.
Well,
chilling.
Yeah, welcome home, right? Like, I don't do the whole Q&A, and that's why I never prepare questions. And like we had Greg Hoffman on, and he's a cool dude and a true marketing genius. Yeah. But I didn't want to just go in on, Greg, tell us all about your marketing. Greg, tell us about your branding. You know what I wanted to do with Greg? I wanted to figure out who Greg was as a character. Because I read comments, and here's a hack. When you have a guest on, go read the book comments on Amazon or YouTube. Do your homework. All the interviews he did, people were commenting, I really wish this interviewer would have asked something about Greg's character. Everything most people ask is already in the book. I'm the show that you come to when you don't need to fucking Google. I don't want to ask the same shit that you can go find on Google. I'm trying to figure out, yo, what kind of fucking weird habits do you have? Like, what really drives you? Like, do you got like a sock fetish or something? Tell me what's up, And so everybody listening to this as an entrepreneur, this is my point about building a brand. Figure out, I seen this little video the other day and it was perfect. So let's say you got a Starbucks or something, or a coffee shop across the street, and you're thinking about opening up a coffee shop. You're like, well, how the hell is my little brand going to compete with Starbucks across the street? Then you got to really study what they're doing. Okay, they don't have parking. Okay, I'm going to offer parking at my coffee shop. They're kind of rude to their customers. We are going to double down on treating our customers like absolute kings and queens. Figure out where you can add in small little differences that make the most difference. That's building an exceptional brand.
And you can do that in any business that you have that can be done.
There's 2 million, what is it? 2,200,000 or something like that podcasts registered on iTunes. What is it? 92% of podcasts don't make it past episode 7. There's a reason for that. They came in and they
did. They want their rewards.
Yeah, they want the rewards, right? Yeah, man. I mean, I'm on 174, episode 174.
Wow.
And, that's still though, like, now I honestly, in my mind, because I'm like, we haven't done shit yet, but that's my mind. Because I'm like, no, I'm humble, man. There's people out there fucking killing it right now too. Like my game has to get better. There's levels to the game. But, I'm like, oh no, we're considered a serious player now. Like everybody we message, they get back to us. They're like, yo, man, this guy's not just some fly by night dude. He's a real deal. He's got 100. Anybody who's willing to invest 174 episodes, hour long, and the work that goes on it with it, like you're in the top 1% for a reason.
You can double that. Like that's like 174 hours. I've seen some of your episodes. Some of them are longer than an hour as well.
Yeah,
that's 174 hours plus the time you spent prepping for it. You can double, you could easily double that number. You took 300 hours in the game. You do 300 hours of anything in the world, you're going to start to get good at something. Do you know what I mean?
You are right. And so I tell people this, right? I'm like, okay, so you got 174 episodes. Let's say they're an hour each. Some of them, are crazy, man. They're long. I mean, I just can't help it. It's too good of a conversation. But, let's say you got 174 hours. You at least have to take another couple hours organizing the edit, at least. Then you got to market the episode out. You got to push it out.
Yeah.
You still got to book the guests.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an art in itself.
Yeah, it is.
Right? You hit me up on Instagram. You're like, yo, man, I got this story. I get hit up like that all the time, but I kind of looked. I'm like, oh no, it's just the way you worded it. And then Nora takes care of all my bookings and media stuff, and it's like. Then I'm like, okay, great. Let's do this. But it's all about your approach. And that's another thing too. People listening to this, you want something from somebody, you got to watch how you approach, especially if you've never had any kind of relationship with that person. Right.
Do you know the craziest thing, Ryan?
Sure.
Every person that I ask to get on my podcast, I handcraft the message myself that day. When I messaged you, that was handcrafted. It wasn't like copy and paste.
Oh no, yeah. That was a
handcrafted message.
That's my point. And I can tell that because I have respect for that because I do the same thing. For me, when I want somebody on my show, and sometimes, I'll try to go through some channels or if I know somebody knows somebody, but that's maybe a quarter of the time. Half the time it's cold, man. I'm going in cold. But you know what I do? Like I got a Grammy Award winner. And it was the funniest thing. I turned my phone around. I'm like, Melanie, listen, I know you're from Canada originally. Listen, you are great. Listen, you need to come on the Rhino Chill podcast. Listen, we've had some of the best in the world. I want to have one of the most epic conversations with you. Let me know if you'd like to come on. Boom.
Do you send videos?
I send videos and people get back. Have you heard of that?
That's my new thing. I'm going to
have you heard of the hip hop? Because everybody else is sending text. Because they're scared. Me? Yo, what's up, man? Look, how you got to ask yourself this. How can I get my Ryan Holtz energy through a phone? It's not through text.
Yeah,
they got to see it. Like they know, oh my God, when I do this guy's show, boom, welcome home. Like they're telling their PR person, yo, you make that happen. Make that happen. That guy's too lit up. I got to chat with that guy. But have you heard of that show? It's like a hip hop show. It's called Drink Champs with Noriega and DJ EFN.
No.
Okay.
I love Noriega.
Okay, but have you heard of the show? Have you heard of Charlemagne the God or the Breakfast Club out in New York?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Breakfast Club, Drink Champs is starting to literally climb against the Breakfast Club now, but they're phenomenal. DJ EFN, he's their co-host with Charlemagne, Noriega. I got him on my show because I sent him a video. And in the interview, he says to me, Ryan, I'll be honest. At first I'm scared to open up videos, but I had to open up yours, and all of a sudden I was just hooked. So yeah, man, you want different things to happen. You know that you want different things to happen in life. You got to do different things.
No, bro, 100%. And to be honest with you, even situations like this that I'm in, speaking to yourself, I've spoke to lots of American celebrities now. I've spoke to, like, I'm speaking to you. Like, I'm literally speaking to the world's greatest people on the planet, and just because they respond to a text, just because they respond to me, and it's the best thing, man. And I'm getting so much out of it. I'm learning so much. I feel like I'm giving to my audience a lot back as well. It's brilliant, man. I love it, and I'm going to carry on doing it. So you're at 173. I think this is episode about 38. So
yeah. There's levels to the game, right? I mean, I remember I got my big first guest, and it was a gentleman. It was episode 17, and it was a gentleman named Jason Maiden, who was the first African American designer on the Nike Air Jordan brand, and he was a big deal. Now here's what's crazy: episode 174, I got his boss. Greg Hoffman.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Jason made it. He's on my LinkedIn and all that. He literally seen when I dropped the episode with Greg, because I did a little teaser, and the guy gave me props. He's like, Ryan, man, like, yo, like I know I was one of your first big guests, and you circled, but that shows the world you're serious about what you're doing.
And also, let's go back to what you said about instant gratification as well. That was 100 episodes after.
Oh, that. Yeah, that's 150 episodes, bro. That's 154 episodes later, man.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that didn't come straight away, but the perseverance, the consistency pays off. Right, I'm conscious of time. There's so much more that I want to dive into, and maybe we can do a part 2 some point in the future.
You name it, man. You name it.
But for the entrepreneurs listening out there, what is that? What's the message you want to leave them with?
Oh, it goes back to my Soulful Currency account, man. I there's a couple little words I live by. Savage servant. Always remember what I said about that. And I always call myself the hope dealer, not the dope dealer, the hope dealer. Hope is where everything is started. Without action, obviously, hope stays hope, but you need that initial. And the Soulful Currency account, I think you really got to understand that if you're coming to the business, not everything is valued at money and monetary currency. And if you're doing any kind of angel investing or seeking investor, of course, they want to know what the money is and all that. But you really got to say, you got to go in acting like nobody's going to give you a damn dollar, and you got to grind. And to do that, you got to make sure you take care of yourself and take care of what's really around you. But again, I'm leaving it to that. Anybody who runs a business, I would love, and please email me, include all my info, or hit me at Ryan Holtz 1 on all social platforms, and answer the question, what's in it for them? And that's it, man.
And where can you mention about you? I know you heard your Instagram, but you went over that quite quick. So where can people find you on the gram?
Oh yeah, at Ryan Holtz 1, at Ryan Holtz Show on TikTok, or you just Google me. Everything is there, and check out our podcast. We put a lot of work into it. There's lots of benefit there. Ryan Holtz Show podcast is on YouTube or any podcast network that you're doing. That's another thing too, man, is when we first started, I always recorded my episodes video because I always thought you need to make this, but we went really heavy on audio. And then we said, no, man, to be different and stand out, we can't just have an audio podcast. It has to be video. So our YouTube, we didn't do much with our YouTube at all, but about 3 months ago, we're at 250 subscribers on our YouTube channel. And now we're just, we're at 10,000. We're almost at 10,000. So again, it's just, whatever you water starts to grow. So check us out. But I mean, I'm humbled and thanks for allowing me to serve you and your audience.
No, it's been a pleasure. And as I said, we're already looking forward to part 2. I'll put all the links to your podcast, the Instagram name in the bio of the YouTube or whatever platform that you're listening on. And just as a quick one, I know that you just released a new coaching program. as well?
Yeah, you know what? Normally everybody knows me for branding and marketing, especially in North America for doing more B2B. So doing, marketing branding campaigns for companies like Ford, Toyota, these big companies. So many people, primarily, especially when I started the podcast, they said, do you have anything that you're offering to the one-to-one person? And so because of my background, losing my mom, growing up as a single, with a single mom and then losing her, I've always pictured myself as that 13-year-old little boy that lost his mom. And I go out of my way as a grown man to always, if I ever see a single mom who's busting her ass, trying to take care of her kids, I just go to my way to say, I know you might not think you're doing your best today, but trust me, your kids love you. They'll grow up and they're gonna recognize how much you really do. Also for single dads, same thing. But I create a program called Brand Life where I focus on 45 to 55-year-old women, particularly. And everybody always wondered why. It was because I just understood that women, it's not about they're doing bad. It's about sometimes they're killing it in their corporate career, but they're wanting to stem out and do something bigger. And women, sometimes they've sat at home for years raising their kids, or they're in the corporate world and raising their kids, but they're looking just to step up their game and step out. And it's the Grown and Sexy program, but it combines how to build a killer personal brand, but also having impact on your life.
I'm going to put that in the comments as well. Ryan, it's been a pleasure. If you're still here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Episodes out every 2 weeks. We'll see you next time. Let's go.